Angels, this is the weekly reading. We're starting with the dice and spin money. Yes. What does this one say? Oh, I'm on top. We get that one so often. I don't know why I didn't recognize it. And massage. And I just got my eyes checked the other day. I just got my doctor said my vision was getting better, was improving. So I don't know why I couldn't see that. Sex is what Spirit says. Cocktail. Yes. And quickie. Now, separate from the cards, I had like vision thoughts, downloads about sex the other day, about some masculine. That's not all he wants, but he does want to have sex. There is there's somebody in separation. The masculine, he's really regretful, and he would like to have sex. Maybe could be quickie, like if there's an opportunity to get it in, that could be what he's thinking, you know, or maybe you're not in separation, you just haven't had sex in a while, maybe you had been in separation, and there's an opportunity to get it in, he may want to. Other than that, quickie could be other things. Maybe you stop for a quick drink, maybe you meet somebody. Yes or no questions, the answer that you're stuck on, answer is yes. With the cards, we're starting with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, which is still a positive card, even though it's in reverse. Some people get scared of reversals, then they don't always mean something negative. Nine of Pentacles is still about money and thriving. It just means that there's probably some sort of action that you're going to have to take to continue. Like, don't spend all your time just enjoying the fruits of your labor, although you should, you know, there's balance needed, basically, is the message trying to get across. Behind it is the Nine of Cups upright. So there could be some money coming in, or some money that could come into you, or that you could manage to avoid spending or losing if you take some sort of action. With that in mind, with the energy deck, we're starting with hostilities. And when this card comes up, you're meant to protect yourself. There is something coming at you. It can be something, you know, like maybe not physical, could be more emotional or spiritual. If it's spiritual, then it's probably coming from within, like, you know, you're fighting yourself, you're fighting your demons, as they say. But can definitely be about some, either it's happened already or it's happening now, or, you know, this week it will begin. You'll have some sort of engagement with something directed at you. And also upright immediately behind it is deceit. Now, what's interesting is Angel of Love is behind that. It's in reverse. This may be somebody that you know, and maybe even somebody that you are close with, and somebody that you believe love you, possibly even did or does, or at one point, yeah, was close to you, maybe even living with you, maybe a family member or a spouse, or something like that, who does not necessarily have your best interest at heart, and or is lying about something in particular. The lies could be what causes confrontation. Or maybe you have to defend yourself against their lies, defend yourself against a rumor. I'm looking at his skirt, and it looks like there's pentacles on it. And I just got, like, you might have to protect your money. So it could be somebody that owes you money, is trying to take money from you, is trying to scam you out of money, is trying to get you involved in some sort of get-rich-quick scheme. Is trying to cost you money or something valuable, something that would mean something to you. Could be something material. It doesn't have to be money. I kept saying money, and I wanted to correct that. Doesn't it look like pentacles on this skirt? They just like jumped out at me all of a sudden. And it looks like even like he might be trying to like hide some in his hand. Like, you know, yeah, so I think for this could definitely have something to do. Isn't it interesting too? They're back to back. So it's like this happens and then this happens. 25 and 26. I promise you I shuffled a few times. A few times. Anyway, with the angel and animal tarots, we're starting with the Ace of Cups. So I think even in the event of something negative, this is an indication of, you know, coming out on top, or if this is something that you already experienced with someone stealing the money, maybe you get it back, or maybe there's some other new start for you. It's replaced somehow. Whatever was lost or taken from you, you know, you defended it to the extent that it's replaced or replenished or something. Or again, if it has to do with your own spirituality and your own inner demons, then you're successful in that fight too. And there is like a fresh start or some spiritual awakening and growth that happens as a result. This is the beginning of a new emotional experience for you. It may be the first blush of romantic love, the rebirth of a current relationship, or the awakening of spiritual gifts and insights. I just got to that for some people, this could be romantic, and maybe, I guess it's the Ace of Cups that gave it to me. Could be a romantic situation. Maybe this already happened. Somebody's lies already caused problems to the relationship, and maybe that's from where the separation comes. Could be could be tied to the dice and all that stuff, sort of stuff too. That maybe that's why the masculine, like I was saying, is regretful. And the other things that I was seeing and downloading, and like wants to like fight back now, maybe defending himself against this person, this third party that caused issue. Maybe they talked bad about you. Maybe they told lies about you. Something. And there's a fighting back now, that there's definitely opportunity for it to be successful, for energies to be balanced, for the universe to step in at just the right moment and give you some sort of aid. With the Six of Pentacles, your success and prosperity have allowed you to pay off debts, acquire wise loans, or to receive a grant or scholarship. In return for heaven's blessings, be sure to share the wealth with others through donations of time or money to reputable charities. So this is always, regardless of why it's showing up for you, it's something that's coming in. Again, the universe is stepping in right on time and aiding you with something. And when that happens, when you receive that blessing, you are blessed to be a blessing to someone else. You are meant to pay it forward, pay it back, however you want to put it, in some kind of way to someone else. Fire energies may be involved. That could be positive. Like, for example, fire energy could be maybe Jupiter's involved, right? The planet of luck. Maybe that's why things are going your way. Or, you know, there could be the people at the person or people energy at the root of this could be tied to fire energy. Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. Energetic, outgoing, optimistic, and creative is what the Page of Wands is said to be. Creative opportunities that you feel passionate about are fluttering your way. Personal growth and broadened horizons will spark fresh and original ideas. And then the last upright card is also of the fire element. It is the Queen of Wands, who is talented, brilliant, independent, and charming. Don't underestimate your ability to manifest your dreams. You may have several priorities vying for your attention at once. And that's what this can be too, I guess. Maybe not tied to the deceit, but on its own, this card can be about a bunch of things or people fighting for your attention, and you needing to like protect yourself, defend yourself, and do what you can. Because again, the Nine of Pentacles is about you enjoying the fruits of your labor, you know, maybe relaxing and enjoying whatever it is you have, as people are meant to do. And again, just comes with a caveat of we can't do all of that though. There still may be some action or something, some work on our behalf that's required in order to keep things going. All right, so with all that done, let's do some shuffling in front of you. So this week there's not much like major, oh goodness. There's not much major celestial transits other than, oh, look at this. The King of Cups and the Moon. I was just about to say, other than the Virgo full moon. That's like pretty much the only celestial transit. Look at this person here. This could be like the deceitful energy. It's doing something behind your back. You see how these women's backs are turned? This is like literally behind their back and unknown to them. The moon is about stuff that's unknown, that's secret. It's interesting that they're wearing wolf masks also. I'm seeing like, I mean, even though I see them as the victims in this scenario with this entity behind their back, another thing is like wolf in sheep's clothing that's coming through. Yeah, but the moon represents the sign of Pisces. We have the King of Cups opposite that. So there could be something with involving a Pisces too, maybe specifically. Cancer, Scorpio also possible. Of course, the actual moon or Earth's actual moon rules the sign of Cancer, which is also a water sign, and then Scorpio too. So saying, yeah, that's really the only celestial transit that we would talk about this week is the Virgo full moon, which may bring somebody back. Some sort of, look, it's right in front of the moon. Isn't that cute how it ended up like that? The Six of Cups, soulmate connections, things, people from your past. When it's upright, this is positive, like being nostalgic about it, remembering it positively, and possibly something from the past stepping into your present, returning. Something or someone. Maybe that masculine that has realized that he screwed up listening to this person. And now, so there's a need to take a leap of faith and try to move forward or away. You just saw me shuffle. The cards just happened to be falling in the place where I need them, where I'm going to talk. And you see the moon here again? This is kind of like a combination new and full moon. So whichever one is happening. But again, for us, it's this week. It's the Virgo full moon that occurs. So maybe that is the trigger that causes the person to realize, or causes, not just in that scenario, but in any scenario, causes one to realize that it's time to move on or to move forward toward what it is you want or away from what it is you no longer want. What's been happening, what's been going on behind your back, what's been deceitful to you, harmful to you, negative. This is after the success. The sun is back out, so no more moon. The sun is out. We're feeling good. There's Aquarius energy. So there's a sense of freedom and, taking a chance and pursuing your dreams. Maybe somebody will decide to move to the big city. Somebody that's from a sunny climate where there's grass and stuff. May decide, I want to move to, New York, Chicago, Detroit. I don't know. Okay. Now with this one, I open right to door to value. From what I was talking about, somebody's after your money, or somebody's trying to cause you to lose your money, to spend your money wrong. They're giving you poor advice. They're trying to get you in a scam, a get-rich-quick scheme, or they're jealous of you. So they've told some lies, maybe about how you make your money, or about your money, or about you. Yeah. I don't know. Happy family in reverse. I just said this person might be related to you or someone who lived with you. That's the deceitful one. They got you on the wrong side of the gate. I talked last week about how the Guardian of the Gate card is actually negative when it's upright and positive when it's in reverse. Because when it's in reverse, it means that you've decided to move beyond the gate into the out there. One more. And we've got the root chakra in reverse. The first chakra with Archangel Michael. The base chakra, the root chakra. So that may be something that is blocked, or some of us need to get into balance in order to defend ourselves. That's the chakra that covers like your spine, your back, like from the base of your neck, down to the small of your back. That's what holds you up. So it's a very important chakra. I'm getting like your backbone. So maybe that's about defending yourself, like have a backbone. And free yourself from whatever this thing is. Look, more masks. So it's not a wolf mask again, but there's a mask being revealed. So it's like I can see what's happening now. And this is in reverse, so there's a breaking away of something that was holding you back. There's a freeing that occurs when you detach from whatever this thing is that was holding you back. Interesting that the temple path is also in reverse. You may have thought you were on the right path, and so part of this is the discovery that you were going the wrong way or with the wrong people. Turning around, put you back on the path, put you back in front of the door to value. So we talked about the Ace of Cups. I'm going to throw that in here somewhere random. Talked about the Six of Pentacles. So I'm doing the same with that. You get the idea. Page of Wands, Queen of Wands. Then we mix them up some more. A lot more. Look at all these little piles. Oh, so I was saying there's not much. Oh, look what just flipped over. Two of Wands. You've come into your own. New partnerships or contracts. Continue to move forward. And this is new. Like the Ace of Cups again brings a new start, a fresh start. This could be about finding out. So like you come into your own. You've realized that you needed to separate from someone or something that was holding you back, that was going on behind your back, that was negative, and you were unaware that these things were surrounding you. So you've awakened from that. And now there's, again, a need to move forward, possibly with a soulmate and or twin flame relationship, if it's romantic for you. Okay, we'll stick this one in here randomly. This is like a game of three card money. I never finished my sentence because things keep happening. I was going to say there is a lot of stuff going on in like I don't know if you would call it. Would that be like the man-made calendar? I don't know. There's like a lot of stuff going on in general that doesn't have anything to do with that isn't directly correlated to a transit that's occurring this week from what I can see or tell. Anyway, the Ten of Wands is now our card. Too much work. Accept help from others. Life is out of balance, which we already touched on a bit, and that can cause stress-related health concerns. So again, for some of us, we could be fighting our own demons, our own, war within ourselves, and that's what's causing this. Again, it could be about too many things on our plate, or again, we could be fighting hostilities that are external because too many people are demanding, our attention, our aid, our work. So we're having to like fend off some of these things, these people. There's another Nine of Pentacles now. Your success has brought you financial security and the reward of much deserved time off to enjoy your own company. You may suddenly have a brilliant idea for a business or a self-employment opportunity that will be very successful. And maybe, maybe that's what's happening. Maybe people are jealous of that, or maybe they see you as the one that's thriving. So everybody wants your attention. Everybody wants your help. Everybody wants your aid. And you got to be careful of that. That's too much. You got to ward off some of that, because, you'll be diminished, drained of your energy, taken down. And even sometimes abundance, like people start to just pull away at us, chip away at us, and take our energy. And then we end up being the one that is sort of like depleted and in need, right? Here's the 8 of Wands. This is about things that maybe had been stuck moving. So it can be about the, having been attached to something negative, having been blinded, having been wearing a mask, that all that is revealed. And so now things can get moving, and you can get moving because that is falling off this week. Events moving at a fast pace, delays are over, and many things are happening at once. This will also be about communication that's like coming in. Then we have more Pisces energy with Major Arcana card 12, Awakening. This is actually the Hangman. Look at things from a different perspective, right? So that like things haven't been making, all of a sudden you're seeing things in a different way. Again, this person that you trusted, maybe, for example, you're realizing that they maybe weren't your friend. Maybe they were an enemy. You're looking at the same things and people that were around you always. You're just looking at them in a different way and getting a new message from it. Hangman. And that can cause you to let go of something or to move. That's what the Hangman is about too. Like energy that's stuck, that gets moving. Things we were holding on to, that we let go of. And then that allows for things to get moving. So it's working in tandem with the 8 of Wands here. And then we have a Knight of Cups. So we had the King of Cups before. Now we have the Knight of Cups behind all of these. Still maybe a Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. I just thought about something else. Just this morning, one of my Facebook memories said, like, you don't have to slander those from whom you disconnect. You can just move on in peace. So that could be what happened here too. That the talking behind the back happened because you broke away from somebody. Card most directly representing us this week, the fucking Tower. Okay, so that's where we're starting with the hostilities. Isn't that crazy? Surrounding energy, close family members, close friends, co-workers, things of that nature, is the Hangman. So that Pisces that's lingering next to us, or other water sign, or somebody with those sort of energies about them, if they're not a direct water sign. I forgot, made me forget what I was doing. Work and finance. 10 of Cups. So again, your money's right. You're okay this week, and there could be people that have a problem with that. Love and relationship. Unsurety. Confusion. Physical health. 3 of Wands. Spiritual health. Page of Wands. And overall energy is the Fool. So the Fool is similar to the Ace of Cups that we've already been talking about. The Fool is a card of newness that's often tied to something spiritual too. Spiritual in the sense that these new beginnings would be meaningful in relation to your inner self somehow. So it's an indicator of newness in one form or another, some aspect of your life. And in many ways, it's like that purity and innocence that's almost childlike. It's like a real trusting of, I'm just going to get out. It's really about a leap of faith. I'm completely trusting. I'm going to fall back and believe that you're going to catch me It's that kind of energy. Uh, it's positive. It's, you know, so I don't want to sound like, am I sounding like it's negative? It's not. It's a positive card. I felt that I may have been confusing there for a minute. There's just this, you know, caveat that it's important to take time to be sure that you're watching where you're going. You know, so yes, go forward. Yes, get yourself unstuck. Yes, try new things. Yes, broaden your horizons. But just watch where you're going. That's all. Yeah. And it can be, again, it can be tied to something that's really spiritual for you, or changing. As can be the Tower. The Tower doesn't have to be about something negative happening. So let's just get that right out of the gate. You know, similar to the Devil and Death, like the card itself can be frightening, but it's really more so about trying to hold on too tightly to something, to like the status quo, and to keep things from changing. And this is like abrupt, fast change that's beyond your control, that's coming in, and there's nothing you can do but roll with the changes, roll with the punches. So similar to the Hangman that sits next to, it's about letting go, you know, and sort of trusting. And that's what the Fool is too, you know, letting go, trusting, leap of faith, believing, you know, that you're headed in the right direction. You're headed toward that door to value now, and all is going to be okay. You know, you don't have to try to control the narrative, or remain fixed, you know, to the position or the people, or, you know, things that you're used to in order for things to be good. Similar to Death, the card is saying that something or someone or group of someones or group of somethings that you've counted on to be a certain way or to be there, period, for you may no longer be there, period, or may no longer be there in quite the same way. And that does not have to be negative. Again, it doesn't have to be dire. It just means it's different. It's change. And change is part of life. Change is, you know, change is nature. We need it. Trying to prevent it, you know, is like going against nature. Trying to go upstream, you know, paddle yourself upstream, as they say, as opposed to just flowing and going down. So if there's like dreams, imaginations, things that we've envisioned, that we've been trying to build, castles in the sky, as they say, the Tower can mean that it's time for those to come down. And again, that doesn't have to be horrible. You know, the fact that something's not going to be the way you pictured it. So just looking at the cards here, for example, maybe somebody envisioned having a particular type of family dynamic, you know, that involved a particular type of mate, maybe a specific person, possibly involving a Pisces. And now there's a decision. Are you willing? And you see there's another mask. This person's wearing a mask too, right? Her eyes are, she's blindfolded. Her eyes are covered. Are you willing to, you know, just go with the flow and allow for things to change? I think it's interesting too that the Hangman is card number 12. So it's the X and then the 2. In Roman numerals, it's the X for the 10 and then the 2 eyes, you know, for the 2. And then here we have a 10 and the 2. And Hangman is right over the love and relationship placement, where there's uncertainty. So you may have, you know, envisioned, again, a particular type of family dynamic, a particular mate, and we're going to be this way. And this could be a week where that seems to be blowing up. And maybe it does blow up completely. Maybe something blows up with it that brings on change. It's the willingness to just allow, and let the universe take you to that, you know, next step, a level where you're meant to be, and not trying to fight it and keep it in that, keep that vision, that picture of what was in your mind. It's just like, this is a more appropriate, maybe even realistic and reachable dream for you that you're being guided toward. So the fantasies that you had, those may fall apart. And that could sound not good. But again, does not have to be bad. And typically, especially judging upon the other cards, again, the Fool, these other cards that are upright, the Three of Wands, the Page of Wands, the Ten of Cups, the Ace of Cups, the card just saying that it's not dire. The card just saying that this is a better situation. Like, you don't know better than the universe. Or trust that the universe knows better than you, for you, what you need. Or trust that God, whatever it is in which you believe, knows better for you than you do. And then this is going to be specific, obviously, to, maybe 1-2 people. Could be a couple more. I'm just saying it's not going to be the entire collective, obviously. There could be a Pisces. When this Hangman card, it looks like there's a female on it. I was going to say a Pisces male. Could be a Pisces person or the water sign. Doesn't have to be a water sign, but if for somebody, it could be really specific. Whose home situation blows up this week, or they allow it to blow up this week. They were trying to, live in this glass tower. It was like a fake life. And they're deciding to remove their blinders this week. Again, because of the moon. There's some sort of direction that they receive from the moon. I think actually Virgo is Pisces opposite. It's Pisces mirror sign. Wait a minute. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to picture the zodiac in my head quickly, and I can't do it. I'm in fear of wasting too many seconds of just dead air, but I'm pretty sure that Pisces is actually Virgo's mirror sign. So that may be why the moon is so triggering, particularly for them this week, because it's the Virgo full moon. So they maybe they're really going to be mirroring, maybe really going to be doing the opposite. It triggers them to do the opposite of what they're doing now. But this false household, false happiness, again, maybe specifically in the life of a Pisces or the water sign, falls apart this week. This is like a fake thing, and their real happiness is dependent on them choosing to be happy, and perhaps choosing another person, another mate, and leaving this situation alone that's been fake. And this person may be who was, I said, the deceit person could be somebody that lives with you, could even be like a mate or a relative. That could be what's happening. The mate or relative, you find them out, or you realize that they've been lying to you, misguiding you, maybe even working roots on you or something. And, it's like Get Out. Like the movie Get Out. You snap out of it and you're like, I got to get away from these folks quick. I feel like I spent a lot of time on these cards, and I want to get to these. But the Hangman, and this ties into it, because the Hangman really, you can think about it as like, it's a depiction, or it's illustrating, it's talking about a situation, a life situation. Okay, this tower that is at some sort of crossroads, right? There's two choices only: yes or no, up or down, left or right. And it's definitely not a time to attempt to control the situation or to control people, because you can't. It's just karmic energy, the tower. Or even try to control yourself to an extent. You can't. You are in control of how you respond to the energy. You cannot control the energy. So it's really a time to look critically at those people, at those situations, at your surroundings, at yourself, and then and your options. and, figure out what to do, yes or no. And again, the dice said yes today. So if you're saying, should I get up away from these people, these folks, these situations, or whatever this is that's surrounding me that's negative, the answer is yes. That we see not only in the cards, but in the dice also. But if despite all of this, you feel like you don't know what to do still, then don't do anything, which is what the Two of Swords is about. It's about indecision and a failure to choose, a failure to decide, even though inside you do know what to do. You do know that, and the choice is, there's something in your heart, your soul that you want to do, that you're not doing because you've been held back by these other things. I say every time the Two of Swords comes up that's what it means for me. So that's what's happening here. But if you still can't bring yourself to that yes, even though the cards are telling us yes and the dice told us yes, then do nothing. Yet, for now. And that's what the Hangman is about too. Doing nothing until it flips over and it's reversed. Then that's you getting out of that energy and doing something. Moving on to the Ten of Cups with specific regard to this placement where it is, which is work and finance. The Ten of Cups means that you have reached a level or at least a degree, to an extent of being sort of indisposable in your current work. You are needed, which is a good thing, but we shouldn't get carried away with it. Not everyone can be replaced in terms of an equal, the equivalent. But everyone can be replaced in terms of you could still be shown the exit and they can bring somebody in. They may not be as good as you. They probably won't be as good as you if you reach this level. But, everybody can lose their job. So, it's about keeping that in mind and staying on track and not deciding because you're doing so well to sit back and chill, which could be bringing back the Nine of Pentacles into it. Don't just sit back and relax and enjoy. You still got to do some work too. So you got to keep up that level of work to the Nine of Pentacles that we started out with that was in reverse that spoke about that. In terms of finances, specifically or directly, money's, unlikely to be a problem this week, or at least not for long if it is. This is likely going to be it's pointing to a prosperous period for you that I think will be longer than the week, but at least this week. And there's another message similar to with the Six of Pentacles that we should be sharing the wealth to the degree or extent that we feel comfortable doing so in whatever ways make us feel good and comfortable. And, just remembering that we're all in this together, so to speak. I'm going to win the lottery at some point. Like the jackpot. I win the lottery all the time. I'm going to win the jackpot at some point. At some point, I say not that far off. And I say this because I continue to get the mega ball numbers. Once I got it back to back. I played the mega ball, the power ball, whatever it was, day after day, and every day I won $20. So not a lot of money, but the mega ball number is the one that people always have trouble getting. So they'll get other numbers and they'll win that way, but they won't win the full jackpot because they don't get the mega ball. Or the mega ball, power ball, whatever it is. I always do. I get that, plus one or two numbers, which is how I've been making my, winning my little bit of change or whatever. But I'm going to win the big one. And I posted that the other day on my Facebook, my personal Facebook and my government name. And, I said, there's going to be some of y'all that I will be sharing with. And I mean that. And I had actually one of my friends on there that I met through this, who's also on my Queen of Swords page, is a follower of mine, client of mine, watches my videos, purchases my services. She commented the same. When she comes into what she's going to be sharing. So some of us, are about that to begin with. The card in this placement is calling for you to be that way if you're not about that. But we still got to keep in mind what we saw at the beginning of the video, which was some people that so maybe you already coming to you, maybe you already hit the jackpot, maybe you hit it this week. some people may try to deceive you out of your money, your wealth, your material things, or whatever it is. So definitely keep an eye out for that too, or be aware of that, cognizant of that goes on. And again, don't try to, make more doing, through some sort of means that's, like a get rich quick scheme that typically means you're doing something illegal or immoral or both, And by immoral, I mean, it's something that, or you feel it's something you shouldn't be doing. I mean, no judgment from me or determination from me as to what's moral and immoral. There's stuff that's illegal that shouldn't be. That's actually the right thing to do, and that's historically been true. Stuff that's legal that should not be because it's wrong. And that's historically been true. Things like slavery and stuff were once legal, and of course are immoral and wrong. So again, no judgment from me. You make that determination as to what is immoral for you, and if somebody's asking you to do those things, don't do them for the sake of money or material or whatever. All right, I think I'm good with that one. Oh, for those who are seeking employment, you're unemployed, then this is a good week too. Your talents are in need somewhere. So go apply somewhere where they need that thing that only you can do. Again, this is about you being sort of indisposable and irreplaceable to the extent that a person can be. They specifically need your skill set. Go there, give it to them, make sure you get what you're worth for it, or you likely will automatically with the 10 of Cups. So love and relationship, the 2 of Swords. I feel like I spent a lot of time on this card, but that was like, again, my meaning for it, what it always means to me, that there's a decision to make in love. It may have to do with, LGBTQ, IA, a lot of times bisexuality comes up for me, considering a first time or whatever, considering, coming out of the closet and all that kind of stuff. But of course, it does not have to be, and it's certainly not going to be that for everybody, but it does tend to be, again, when your heart or soul is guiding you toward one thing and you're not doing it because, you're worried about outside influences in other situations that you need to allow to blow up. Okay. You need to not worry about and just go with the flow, go with the energy. But the traditional tarot meaning for the 2 of Swords in this placement is actually, pretty good. It's a good omen romantically, especially for, relationships or romances that are already in existence, because this can signify that your relationship is going to move into just sort of like an easier, more balanced place to be, phase, just lighter energy and really treating each other as equals. There's equality, there's reciprocity, there is, like equity and stake, in the relationship for both people. If you're single and looking, then this is a good time to again, take a good look at yourself. So we talked about that in some other aspects too already. Taking a good look at yourself to see if there's any, outstanding, emotional issues basically that need to be dealt with first, because people can sense sort of desperation, and it's a turn off, I just have to have a man, I just have to have a woman, and I'm not going to do the shadow work first, and I'm going to take my baggage into this new situation, so even if they don't spot you a mile away and detect that, you get into this relationship, it's likely to be unsuccessful, because again, you are bringing those things in from an old relationship. So let's just see if there's anything that has to be healed first. And in order to heal something, we have to actually sit in it and deal with it and face it. And then be able to, in order to really truly be able to move beyond it. Otherwise, these things keep coming back up over and over and over again, and we find ourselves repeating lessons. I know anybody that watches my channel knows what I'm talking about in terms of repeating lessons. So to stop the cycle, it's about finally deciding to sit in that energy, deal with it, face it, go through whatever emotions it calls on you to do, or whatever, emotions and motions, or whatever actions, and then you can safely, in a healed and a healthy way, move on to the next thing. Speaking of a healthy way, the Three of Wands is about good health. If you are going to the doctor, you're awaiting some sort of health news or whatever, it's likely to be very good when this card shows up. So your health efforts that you've been putting in, maybe things that you make, changes that you made possibly, are like beginning to show. So if you change your diet, maybe it hasn't been drastic, but maybe you go to the doctor and you get on the scale again, and they'll say, oh, you're down 5 pounds or whatever, and consider that a success, right? Even if you haven't realized it yourself, so you're like, oh, but my stomach's still fat, or whatever the problem is, consider that a win, and stay on track. And this card also tells us to not to hesitate to consider alternative ways to treat or to deal with health, concerns or challenges within reason. So basically, this is guidance to go ahead and go holistic, to maybe use vitamins instead of meds, herbs instead of meds, some other practitioner, Eastern medicine instead of going to a doctor, a Western medical doctor, and things like that. This is a good week for it. Sometimes a card may come up and say, don't do that. Don't go to a holistic person. I've had to say that to you guys as well. This is a week where it's good. And that would include, people, other spiritualists as well. So maybe for your physical health, maybe for your news, maybe you need a tarot reader, or maybe this is it. Maybe you just got the physical news you get. You were worried about something, and I'm telling you that this week the news is good. Maybe that's enough for you. Anyway, moving on to spiritual health and the Page of Wands. One thing that I forgot to say when I was telling my story before, I had looked at the Page of Wands for a moment too, and I don't think I actually said it. My mind was going a mile a minute at that moment. But the Page of Wands can be about finishing something you started, in the past, revisiting something from the past. We also did see the Six of Cups earlier. So this thing, for whomever it applies, could be about, again, leaving this home that was fake anyway, this family image that didn't really exist in this home, leaving that and getting, back together with somebody from your past. But aside from that, the Two of Wands that we saw also could mean that, because again, that was the twin flame card of the tarot. So again, leaving this other person, this maybe the karmic, right? This is the karmic entity, the karmic. And you guys that watch me know I don't really use that term, because all of these relationships are karmic. Even the twin flame relationship is karmic. Karmic just means of the universe, beyond our control, containing lessons for us. That's what a twin flame relationship is and does. But anyway, the karmic, to use it as the derogatory term, that could be what's represented by the Tower. And again, leaving that and going back to the twin flame. The other wand. So you're one wand and the other person is the other wand. It could be what the Page of Wands means. Or even looking at it here. We got the two wands standing together, and we got this other wand on the outside, like it doesn't belong. So, for what it's worth, that's my 2 cents on that one. Specific to the spiritual health in this placement, the Page of Wands can be like a really creative time for you, and a good time for you to actually become, more childlike. So again, it's going to be about things from the past and revisiting things, and childlike innocence, taking the Fool, our overall energy, into consideration too. And just, being inventive and dreaming and, and playing and having fun. And you never know what your creations during this time may come to. If you do. And even if, maybe they didn't develop into the next best, greatest thing in the world, at least you enjoy yourself, and this is enriching, not only to your spirituality, your spiritual life, but to your life in general, and indeed your health, which may bring back in the Ten of Wands that we also saw earlier, which can be an indication of like too much work, too much and not enough play, and that leading to health related concerns. You know, so you do need that balance again. You need some play in your life. So now we're going to add the energy cards to these, beginning with the Tower. And we have Victory in reverse. And this is Victory, what it looks like upright. This is still victory, all right, for you. I don't feel that it's a loss. You know, you may be thinking about the opposite of victory is a loss. I don't feel it's a loss, but I feel, again, it's a change. It's different. So it's victory still, but it looks different, and maybe not as you would have expected. And maybe things have to get turned upside down before you reach that point and achieve it. But it's victory nonetheless. We can also look at it in terms of like victory deferred or delayed. You know, you could have been victorious before. You could have chosen this before. You didn't. So now it's a matter of going back into the past in order to realize that victory. Also, if I remember correctly, the book, the author's meaning for the card, I think can also be about delay and all. Not only delay, but like what I've been talking about, the outcome that we expected sort of being delayed or reversed or just different again than what we expected. So we had a plan for this. It turned out looking like the Tower instead. So now we're going to do this, you know? So next placement, surrounding energy, close friends, family members, co-workers. We have card number 17, action in reverse. So it's kind of like this card. There's an inaction, and it's kind of like the Hangman, right? The Hangman upright is like inaction. You're just hanging in limbo, hanging in the balance, waiting for an action to be taken. You have to choose to look at the other perspective, look at things a different way. You have to choose to take the action of letting go of this outcome and moving on to a different outcome. So that matches the Hangman card perfectly, actually. Joining the 10 of Cups in work and finance. We have community in reverse. Again, watch out for these people that may not mean you well in your surrounding community, in your environment. But alternatively, this is going to be a positive card for you because it's like the 3 of Cups kind of. And even in reverse, 3 of Cups is still a positive card. You know, it's still about being reunited. There's at least one positive reunion with someone or something. And that someone or something that you're positively reunited with could be your material possessions or your money. Remember, a fool and his money, a fool and his money are soon parted. But if you don't allow anybody to play you for the fool and you watch your money, you watch these people in the community that are, you know, behind your back or whatever, you should be straight this week. The author talks about feelings of like isolation and being alone when this card shows up in reverse. And that can definitely be what happens when we realize we have to ditch these people that have been surrounding us that we thought loved us, cared about us, meant us well, and we learn that they don't. You may feel alone, isolated, and, you know, just out there. But again, you have a lot to be thankful and positive about because you're the one that's, you know, like hashtag winning. So, love and relationship. 5th chakra, Archangel Gabriel. And I think this is really awesome because Archangel Gabriel, he is representing the throat chakra. The throat chakra is all about air energy, maybe most specifically Gemini, right? Gemini is the sign of communication ruled by Mercury, the great communicator, right? The communication planet. And this is about speaking up. And this is, speaking up in terms of finding your voice around these people that you haven't wanted to disappoint or piss off, or whatever it was before that you were worried about what other people were going to think or say, or what society may deem right or wrong. And this is finding your voice and speaking up for yourself, and maybe, again, coming out or whatever, telling people what it is you actually want. And this can also be about communication with, your partner, or remember that equality and equity that the Two of Swords is about in terms of traditional tarot for love and relationship. This can be about you guys, speaking your truths to one another and getting on the same page and finding that balance. Mercury. Where is Mercury? I think Mercury is in Pisces. I think Mercury moved into Pisces last week. Did I talk about Mercury moving into Pisces last week? I'm pretty sure I did. I just thought about that again because, again, these cards are sitting here underneath the Hangman, which represents the sign of Pisces, and we've seen a lot of this Pisces energy. So Pisces and Neptune are about illusions and dreams, and maybe wearing a blindfold and not seeing things as they are, being confused about what's reality and what's not. And then this is, again, speaking truth to all of that instead, and getting it straight. I'm picking up the wrong cards. Physical health, joining the Three of Wands. We have Journey. This person looks very happy. They're on the right path. It's a well-lit path, so it's a path of light and joy, and they're feeling good. And again, this can be about good news for you on your health journey. Keep up the good work. And last but not least, spiritual health. Oh, beautiful. We have card number 40, 6th chakra, Archangel Metatron. Archangel Metatron is the leader, formerly Enoch, of the ancient scriptures that were removed from the Bible. One of only 2 human beings that those books talk about having directly ascended into heaven and becoming an angel, or archangel in this case. Although, I could get into the weeds on this. I know this stuff very well. The Bible itself only calls one angel, not just an archangel, but the archangel, and that's Michael. But anyway, Archangel Metatron is the leader of all light workers, right? So he is the spiritual, he's the leader of our collective. He heads it up. So I think this is a beautiful card to show up on this placement of, spiritual health, is that, again, being on the right path in terms of a light worker or a light bringer or a good witch, or whatever it is, however it is you envision yourself, and just really coming into greater clarity this week, with his help and with this chakra functioning properly. We have like an expanded perspective, and maybe that will allow you to look at things differently in terms of the Hangman. In some ways, this can also be, about a new beginning for some of us. Again, our overall energy of the Fool, all about new beginnings. I said particularly spiritual ones. Remember I said that? In terms of developing like deeper insight about what's going on, especially in our own life, and why. So like that those answers to those questions, like who am I, what am I, where am I? You may get the answers to some of those this week with this card. And lastly, we will look at some of these. So from this deck, for the card that most directly represents us, we have the King of Swords. He is intelligent, impartial, respected, and unemotional. At this time, it's very important that you communicate clearly, be objective and unemotional, and act as professionally as possible. If you need advice, seek out the most experienced expert that you can find. So this person that's breaking away from something, that's allowing the tower to go ahead and fall, he's not going to be pulled back in with you pulling on his heartstrings and whatever. Okay, this is the King of Swords. So he is diplomatic, meaning he can look around and see different sides, different perspectives, and weigh them all. He says what he means what he says. He's to the point. He's very matter of fact. He is very set in his way, and you're not going to change his mind by, just blinking your puppy dog eyes. So we have that. Also, this could be a representation again of Mercury this week. Even though, like I said, I'm not aware of any particular transits that I was going to talk about this week. Oh, wait a minute. Other than the full moon in Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Boom. There you have it. Okay. I just needed to talk myself through it. Walk myself through it to make it make sense. Surrounding energy, close friends, family members, co-workers. Boom. The Two of Swords. I knew this Two of Swords was tied into that Hangman. Procrastination and worrying about what others will think is blocking you from making a decision. If you're torn between your own desires and someone else's, follow your inner guidance. And remember, your inner guidance is greatened this week. It is heightened with Archangel Metatron showing up here with the sixth chakra. Or was I clear that the sixth chakra is the third eye chakra? I don't think I said that. So that's what it is. All right. Wealth and finance, joining community in reverse, and the 10 of Cups. We have the 5 of Cups. It was in reverse just now when I pulled it. However, there are no reversals in this deck, so I'm going to turn it up right. But again, if we look at it this way, it's like getting over a time of disappointment. So again, things improving for you in your finances. And also, but this message is still important, right? Focus upon the fact that God loves you and always has the highest of intentions for you. So that's going to come in handy with the Tower as well. And the change that's happening around us. 5s are about change in general too, in terms of numerology. A positive outlook makes it easier to recover from life's little difficulties. So even if the change is difficult for you, so that you can move onward and upward, because that's what's intended for you. You were intended to move onward and upward. Joining Archangel Gabriel and the other Two of Swords, I couldn't make this up if I wanted to, is this water energy again. The Page of Cups, who is sensitive, kind, open-hearted, and inexperienced. Now, this is a really nice card to have in placement of love and relationship, of course. You can expect to kindle a new romantic relationship, newness. Maybe you meet somebody this week. Or maybe there is something new to your existing relationship. There's an improvement. Again, you get more balance. The energy gets lighter, like the Two of Swords suggested. So you can expect to kindle a new romantic relationship or a close platonic friendship. You may suddenly receive an emotional message from someone or be invited to a social event. If you get invited to a social event and you're at all able to go, you should go, because that may be where you meet somebody new if you're single. Physical health. We got more wands. This time it is the Knight of Wands, who is passionate, charismatic, confident, and restless. An opportunity arises that needs your attention right away. Moving quickly is important, yet there's nothing that you can't handle if you follow your own inner guidance. This Knight of Wands may be an actual person in your life, and Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. There is a full moon behind this dolphin. So we have the energy of the full moon again coming in here. That may be what triggers something or triggers a new improvement. Maybe something is going to start. Maybe there's a new a group of people are going to be fasting or going on a diet or whatever, and you have an opportunity to join them. You have an opportunity for some training, for some nutritional guidance, or I don't know, to try some new method of improving yourself in some way. And it's going to be up to you to decide whether or not you want to do that. But again, things are good, are positive in this area. This could be the person, remember I said, the holistic person, this could be who they are. This Knight of Wands as well. And maybe the person is an actual direct fire sign that you will encounter. And now spiritual health. Oh, we've come full circle. No pun intended, by the circle here, the zero that's at the top of this card. But it's Major Arcana card 0, the Dreamer, or the Fool. That's who it is, the Fool. You are starting a new adventure. Run free and take a leap of faith. Boom. And that's what I have for you this week. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope you find it helpful. Hope it helps you navigate through your week. Watch it in pieces if you need to. If you're not able to watch the whole thing, revisit it. What I have a question about my love life. Let me look at that placement. Let me watch what she said about that. Or, different areas. Okay. Use it however you choose to use it. I hope it aids you. Please do like, share, subscribe, and comment. I appreciate it. And supposedly one day that will help the channel. That'll help the channel. Maybe for the algorithm to relocate us and put us back where we used to be. And, which is in the eyes of the public and people who need the answers. For those of you who want to stick around, I am picking up my laptop to tell you about those things that I said are going on this week that don't necessarily have anything to do with the celestial system, but they are things that are going on. Some of them are from, the theological calendar, so the Christian calendar, the Muslim calendar, why didn't my laptop? Oh, it was just low and delayed. I was going to say, why did my laptop bing? Because it opened. So anyway, it's on now. I've already signed on. You may or may not have heard the little doo-doo because it was very faint just now. Anyway, starting with the Christian calendar, we have on the 17th, I'll just go ahead and mention, we do have the feast of St. Patrick's Day. So St. Patrick was not an apostle, obviously. He was a bishop, and he comes much later, after Jesus and the biblical times and stuff. He was born in the year 387. But I figured I'd mention him because he is such a hugely celebrated saint in many parts of the world. And so for more information about him, I went to www.catholic.org and came up with this Saints and Angels. And this one is a feature of St. Patrick. Again, his feast day is March 17th. He is the patron saint of Ireland. He was born in the year 387, as I mentioned. And it's weird to know that, but here's why. Here's why I know that. He was born in the year 387. First of all, you guys know I'm weird with numbers and about numbers. He was born in the year 387, which equals 9, and he died in the year 461, which equals 11. So 9/11, get it? All right, never mind. Anyway, but it's always stuck with me. Possibly also because I went to St. Patrick's Old Cathedral School as a child. In New York, there is a big, church dedicated to St. Patrick, which is the new cathedral, and people travel from all over the world to see it and stuff like that. But I went to school at the old cathedral, the original one that was located in Little Italy, and marched in the parade as a kid. I was a cheerleader for St. Patrick's School. All right, anyway, so that's probably why I know so much about St. Patrick and why I know this information, not knowing that years from then, I would be in this position talking about it. But true to the Queen of Swords, they say what you experience throughout your life, that's what the Queen of Swords is about. All the things you experience throughout your life, preparing you for a moment. So this is my moment, I guess. Anyway, St. Patrick of Ireland is one of the world's most popular saints. He was born in Roman Britain, and when he was 14 or so, he was captured. Now, years ago, I talked about the different ages where things seem to specifically happen to people that are on a particular path. And 14 was one of the ages. I told you Mary had Jesus at 14. A whole bunch of stuff. Okay, I'm going to get derailed. Let me get back on track. All right, he was 14 or so when he was captured by Irish pirates during a raiding party. And he was taken to Ireland as a slave. I don't really like the word slave because the people of Ireland were actually indentured servants, but they're saying slave here. Anyway, he was meant to herd and to tend sheep. At the time, Ireland was a land of druids and pagans, but Patrick turned to God and wrote his memoir, The Confession. In the confession, he wrote, quote, "The love of God and his fear grew in me more and more, as did the faith, and my soul was roused, so that in a single day I have said as many as 100 prayers, and in the night nearly the same. I prayed in the woods and on the mountain even before dawn. I felt no hurt from the snow or ice or rain," end quote. Patrick's captivity lasted until he was 20. So he was in captivity for 6 years. And that's what I was saying about indentured servants. Well, he escaped, but indentured servants do have like a time that they have to serve out, and their children are born free. So that's one of the differences between them and slaves, just to clear that up. It says here that he was born in Britain. They had a feudal system, feudal lords. And so serfs and indentured servants, not slaves, serfs and indentured servants and apprentices and lords. And I think it was in that order. Anyway, whereas the transatlantic slave trade was slaves, you were slave for life. The time didn't expire when you had to be a slave. And if you had children, they were born into slavery too and owned by the master as well. All right. Anyway, so moving beyond that. Patrick's captivity lasted until he was 20 when he escaped, like I said, after having a dream from God in which he was told to leave Ireland by going to the coast. There he found some sailors who took him back to Britain, and he was reunited with his family. Quote, "I saw a man coming as if it were from Ireland. His name was Victorious." As soon as it said reunited with his family, I thought about the 10 of Cups that's here, the family. And then up here, we have the victory card. The man's name was Victorious. I just got chills in my legs. Isn't that something? Anyway, he carried many letters, throat chakra, communication, and he gave me one of them. I read the heading, quote, "The voice of the Irish." Didn't I say about finding your voice this week? This is so funny. My guides are they're real jokers. Anyway, the voice of the Irish. As I began the letter, I imagined in that moment that I heard the voice of those very people who were near the wood of Falkland, which is beside the Western Sea, and they cried out as with one voice, quote, "We appeal to you, holy servant boy, to come and to walk among us," end quote. The vision prompted his studies for the priesthood. He was ordained by Saint Germanus, the Bishop of Auxerre, whom he had studied under for years, and was later ordained a bishop and sent to take the gospel to Ireland. Patrick arrived in Slane, Ireland, on March 25th in the year 433. There are several legends about what happened next, with the most prominent claiming that he met the chieftain of one of the Druid tribes who tried to kill him. After an intervention from God, Patrick was able to convert the chieftain and to preach the gospel throughout Ireland. There he converted many people, eventually thousands, and he began building churches across the country. He often used shamrocks to explain the Holy Trinity, and entire kingdoms were eventually converted to Christianity after hearing Patrick's message. Patrick reached and converted all of Ireland for 40 years. So 4 is also very significant numbers in the Bible, and the number 40 comes up, I can't remember how many times, but it's a lot in the Bible. Anyway, he worked many miracles and wrote of his love of God in that book, Confessions, that he wrote. After years of living in poverty, traveling and enduring much suffering, he died on March 17th in the year 461. He died at Saul, where he had built the first Irish church. He is believed to be buried in Down Cathedral, Downpatrick. His grave was marked in 1990. That's fairly recent, with a granite stone. In his footsteps, Patrick was humble, pious, gentle man whose love and total devotion and trust in God should be a shining example to each of us. So complete was his trust in God. So complete does our trust need to be for the leap of faith and the importance of his mission. He feared nothing, not even death, because that's how we have to kind of feel. The breastplate, Patrick's poem of faith and trust in God, is this, quote, Christ be within me, Christ behind me, Christ before me, Christ beside me, Christ to win me, Christ to comfort and restore me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ inquired, Christ in danger, Christ in hearts of all that love me, Christ in mouth of friend and stranger. And that may be tying into our message too. If Christ, not necessarily Jesus Christ, but Christ, the name Christ was not his name. Christ means anointing or anointed one. And we're all trying to achieve this sort of Christ consciousness, a similar equivalent if you're on a spiritual path. So Christ being in the hearts of those around us and in the mouths of our friends, as opposed to, talking behind our back, negativity is important, right? Okay, so moving on, that was St. Patrick, to Saturday, March 19th, the last day for which this reading will be, is actually the feast day of St. Joseph, who in modern times would probably be considered a pedophile, but back in the day, this was appropriate for a much older man to get with a younger woman, or in Mary's case, a girl. As I mentioned, she was 14 when she had Jesus. So his feast day is March 19th. He is the patron saint of the Universal Church, unborn children, fathers, workers, travelers, immigrants, and a happy death. Also says here he is associated with the number 18 for some reason. This is also from that page, www.catholic.org. Everything we know about the husband of Mary and the foster father of Jesus comes from Scripture. And that has seemed too little for those who made up legends about him. We know that he was a carpenter, a working man. For the skeptical Nazarenes ask about Jesus, quote, is this not the carpenter's son, end quote, in Matthew 13:55. He wasn't rich, for when he took Jesus to the temple to be circumcised and Mary to be purified, he offered the sacrifice of 2 turtle doves, or basically a pair of pigeons, and allowed only for those who could not afford a lamb were allowed to do that. And you can read about that in Luke 2:24. Despite his humble work and means, Joseph came from royal lineage. Luke and Matthew disagree somewhat about the details of Joseph's genealogy, but they both mark his descent from David, the greatest king of Israel, Matthew 1:1 through 16, and Luke 3:23 through 38. Indeed, the angel who first tells Joseph about Jesus greets him as, quote, son of David, end quote, a royal title also used for Jesus. We know Joseph was a compassionate, caring man. When he discovered Mary was pregnant after they had been betrothed, right? She was promised to him in marriage. He knew the child was not his, but was as yet unaware that she was carrying the Son of God. He knew women accused of adultery could be stoned to death, so he resolved to send her away quietly to not expose her to shame or cruelty. However, when an angel came to Joseph, the angel Gabriel, who shows up here for our reading this week, when an angel came to Joseph in a dream, so we also had all this stuff about dreams, and with the Pisces energy, Neptune and Pisces is all about dreams, came to him in a dream, told him that Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins, end quote. He did as the angel told him and took Mary as his wife. Matthew 1:19 through 25. Now, obviously, the name Jesus was not the actual name that he used, because the letter J did not exist at the time in the Hebrew language. So he gave him whatever. He told him to give whatever name we now refer to as Jesus. Anyway, when the angel came again to tell him that his family was in danger, he immediately left everything he owned, all his family and friends. Okay? The tower was coming down. He left his family and friends and went to be with the person that he loved. Okay? So we know when the angel came again to tell him his family was in danger, he immediately left everything he owned, all his family and friends, and fled to a strange country with his young wife and the baby. He waited in Egypt. They say young wife. They don't say how young, but if you read the book of Mary, anyway, never mind. He waited in Egypt without question until the angel told him it was safe to go back. Matthew 2:13 through 23. We know Joseph loved Jesus. His one concern was for the safety of this child entrusted to him. Not only did he leave his home to protect Jesus, but upon his return, he settled in the obscure town of Nazareth out of fear for his life. When Jesus stayed in the temple, we're told Joseph, along with Mary, searched with great anxiety for 3 days for him. This is in Luke 2:48. We also know that Joseph treated Jesus as his own son, for over and over the people of Nazareth say Jesus, quote, "Is this not the son of Joseph?" End quote. Luke 4:22. We know Joseph respected God. He followed God's commands in handling the situation with Mary and going to Jerusalem to have Jesus circumcised, and Mary purified after Jesus' birth. We're told that he took his family to Jerusalem every year for Passover, something that could not have been easy for a working man. And since Joseph does not appear in Jesus' public life at his death or resurrection, many historians believe Joseph probably had died before Jesus entered public ministry. Yes, because he was an old man. According to Catholic Encyclopedia, the apocryphal, I don't know why I'm getting tongue-tied today, apocryphal date for Joseph's birth is 90 BC in Bethlehem, and the apocryphal date of his death is July 20th AD in the year 18 in Nazareth. So maybe that's why he's associated with the number 18. Joseph is the patron saint of the dying because, assuming he died before Jesus' public life, oops, wait a minute, pages disappear. Okay. He died with Jesus and Mary close to him, the way we would all like to leave this earth. Joseph is also the patron saint of the universal church, families, fathers, expectant mothers, or pregnant women, travelers, immigrants, house sellers and buyers, craftsmen, engineers, and working people in general. We celebrate 2 feast days for Joseph: March 19th for Joseph, the husband of Mary, and May 1st for Joseph, the worker. March 19th has been the most commonly celebrated day for Joseph, and it wasn't until 1955 that Pope Pius XII established the Feast of St. Joseph the Worker to be celebrated on May 1st. This is also May Day, International Workers' Day, and is believed to reflect Joseph's status as the patron of workers. Many places and churches all over the world are named after St. Joseph, including the Spanish form San Jose, which is the most commonly named place in the world. Joseph is considered by many to also be the patron saint of the New World, of the countries China, Canada, Korea, Mexico, Austria, Belgium, Croatia, Peru, Vietnam, the regions of Carinthia, Styria, Tyrol, Sicily, and the several main cities and dioceses. In art, Joseph typically is portrayed as an older man with gray hair and a beard, often balding, sometimes appearing frail, and a marginal figure next to Mary and Joseph. That's probably because those people had read what are now books that were removed from the Bible, but at the time that the art was painted, they were probably still available and in circulation. Like I have a copy of some books that were removed from the Bible. What they call, it's a book called The Lost Books of the Bible. In addition to some other texts that I have. Anyway, if not entirely in the background, so either Mary and Joseph appeared, like diminutive and or super young compared to him, or he was just like behind them and they were separate. He was behind him, this older man. Some statues of Joseph show his staff topped with flowers. St. Joseph is shown with the attributes of a carpenter's square or tools. The infant Jesus, his lily blossom staff, 2 turtle doves, or a spikenard. There is much that we still wish we could know about Joseph, exactly where and when he was born, how he spent his days, exactly when and how he died, but Scripture has left us with the most important knowledge. Who he was, which was a righteous man according to Matthew 1 through 18, or 1:18, and in his footsteps. So what else we can think about Joseph? Joseph was foster father, really stepfather, to Jesus. There are many children separated from families and parents who need foster parents. Please consider contacting your local Catholic charities or Division of Family Services about becoming a foster parent. That can be something else that's coming out of this, like, somebody's home is maybe literally, demolished or catches a fire, or that's going to be talking about maybe some of the refugees from the war and welcoming them in, the tower and the 10 of Cups sitting underneath it. So yeah, this is, suggesting that we consider becoming foster parents. Saint Joseph, patron saint of the Universal Church, watch over the church as carefully as you watched over Jesus. Help protect it and guide it as you did with your adopted son. Amen. So they just ended it with a little prayer. Okay. So that is all I wanted to say about the Christian calendar, I believe. Yes. Also, before that, on March 14th, which is tomorrow, Monday, we celebrate Pi Day, or some of us will. Other number weirdos like myself, or math geeks like myself, will be celebrating Pi Day, Pi, P-I, as in the numerical designation. Pi Day is celebrated on March 14th around the world. Pi, or Greek letter that looks somewhat like the symbol that represents the sign of Gemini without the bottom, is the symbol used in mathematics to represent a constant, or the ratio of, let's see, when did we start celebrating this? I'm clicking on piday.org. And they have a countdown to Pi Day. These are some real nerds on this page. Countdown to Pi Day. It doesn't tell you any more. I clicked on the link though. It doesn't tell you any more about Pi Day. Who is the official sponsor of Pi Day? It's an entity called Momatrix, according to this. A test preparation company. That makes sense. All right, so that's enough about Pi Day. March 14th is also the birthday of Albert Einstein. And, interestingly, the date of death of Stephen Hawking. So 2 mathematical geniuses just happen to be, associated with Pi Day, which is interesting, at least to me. And it is Steak and BJ Day for those who are so interested and so inclined to celebrate that. And let's see, for that I've gone to www.wikipedia.org. Steak and Blowjob Day, or often sometimes called Steak and BJ Day or Steak and Knobber Day. I've never heard of Steak and Knobber Day. Is a satirical, unofficial holiday created in the United States as a male response to Valentine's Day and is celebrated a month later on March 14th. On the day, women are purportedly supposed to cook a filet steak for and perform fellatio on a man in response to cards, chocolate, and flowers given by men on Valentine's Day. The observance has no official status, being a popular internet meme rather than an actual holiday, but various souvenirs and video clips have been produced about it. It was conceived in the year 2002 by somebody named DJ Tom Birdsley on the WFNX radio station. It's been suggested that Steak and Blowjob Day is a backlash against the feminist movement. The holiday has been criticized as sexist and patriarchal, though it has also been positively received by some and used as a platform to fundraise for breast cancer research. Yeah, I take it in fun. I've celebrated it in fun. I've cooked steak or bought steak from a restaurant, and done other things. We'll leave that there. Just wanted to alert you guys to that. These are all things that I remember off the top of my head, and then I say, oh, I want to talk about it. So I'll open something on my computer to remind me. But obviously my computer didn't tell me, it's Steak and BJ Day. That's something that I knew. Moving on, though, to the Hebrew calendar. We have the Fast of Esther. And for that, I went to www.chabad.org, CHABAD. The Fast of Esther, what, why, and how? The Fast of Esther is a dawn to nightfall fast held on the day before the jolly holiday of Purim. It commemorates the fasting of our ancestors in response to the dramatic chain of events that occurred during their exile in the Persian Empire. These events are recorded in the Book of Esther, and the salvation that came about at that time is celebrated on the holiday of Purim. Maybe the war will end this week. Maybe Putin will realize it's not working. I just got that from this. Anyway, this year, the Fast of Esther is held on February 25th, 2021. So this is from last year. They wrote this last year. So never mind what that says. So Purim will be celebrated the next day. While the fast is generally celebrated on the day before Purim, when Purim is on a Sunday, the fast is moved from Shabbat, which is Saturday or Friday night, and Shabbat is the Sabbath. It's moved to the preceding Thursday. The Fast of Esther, or Ta'anit Esther, is one of the 4 public fasts that was ordained by the prophets. Consequently, we're more lenient in its observance, particularly when it comes to pregnant women, nursing mothers, and others who may be weak. So in terms of making them avoid eating, they don't necessarily do that. So that's the Fast of Esther. Then we have Purim. And just to clarify, I don't think I was clear. The Fast of Esther is on the 16th, March 16th, and Purim is the 17th, St. Patrick's Day. What is Purim? Also went to Shabbat.org for this one. What just happened? My computer's acting wacky all of a sudden. The jolly Jewish holiday of Purim is celebrated every year on the 14th of the Hebrew month of Adar. So not necessarily the 14th of March on our calendar, the 14th of Adar, to be clear. Purim 2022 begins on Wednesday night, March 16th, and continues through Thursday, March 17th, extending through Friday in Jerusalem. It commemorates the divinely orchestrated salvation of the Jewish people in the ancient Persian Empire from Haman's plot to destroy, kill, and annihilate all Jews, young and old, infants and women in a single day. Literally, quote unquote, lots in ancient Persian. Purim was thus named since Haman had thrown lots to determine when he would carry out his diabolical scheme, as recorded in the Megillah, or the Book of Esther. And it goes on to tell the story. I've read this story before. I'm not going to read it today. But if you would like to read it yourself, again, I got it from www.shabbat.org. You can just type in Purim, Purim, and the story of Esther and Haman will come up. But basically, the people were taken captive, and she led them to their freedom by killing him. That's the long and short of it. I am going to move on, because I feel this video is probably super long at this point. I'm going to move on to the Islamic calendar and the feasts. This is year 1443, or 444, if you're a nerd like me, a number weirdo. Two feasts. Both occur on March 18th. Laylat al-Miraj and Laylat al-Bara'at. And what the first one is actually the reappearance of Hujat Allah al-Mahdi, which is a belief in 12er Shia beliefs, so specifically Shia Muslims, that the 12th Imam, Hujat Allah al-Mahdi, will return at an unspecified time and establishes an Islamic state of peace, or he will establish an Islamic state of peace and justice when he returns. So it's sort of like Jews waiting for the prophet to show up as well, Passover. Anyway, this will be the end when he does appear. The belief is that this will be the end of the major occultation, which according to Shia is the second. I won't get into that, never mind. This will be the end of the major occultation, the period since he became, quote unquote, hidden, which occurred in the year 941. This reappearance will be foreshadowed by a number of signs, such as the sun rising from the west. And it goes on to talk about it more if you want to read about it more. Interesting to me with that because, it is true, and it is typically taught really pretty young, or it used to be, at least when I was young, that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. When I began to have my visions of, Isis and Osiris, and they began to teach me and tell me things, one of the things that they told me was that the sun, or Osiris, or Horus, was in the east, and there used to be these two kingdoms. One was led by Osiris, and one was led by his brother Seth, or Set. So Osiris, which of course was Horus's father, he left his kingdom to Horus. That's why it's Osiris or Horus were in the east, and Set, the evil brother, is in the west. The sun rises in the east, or the sun, Horus, rose in the east when his father was murdered, and Set is in the west. Anyway, just sharing that with you guys. That was the first of the Muslim holidays. The other one is Friday, March 18th into Saturday, March 19th. Both Hebrew or Jewish and Muslim or Islamic holidays start the night before or after sundown and go into the next day. Laylat al-Bara is celebrated in most regions. It is a night when one's deceased ancestors are commemorated. So we're going to, sort of recognize and thank and appreciate our deceased ancestors on this day. I think it's interesting how the first one correlates to St. Patrick's Day, and this one correlates to the Feast of St. Joseph, the 19th. So in most regions, anyway, it's a night where one's deceased ancestors are commemorated. Shab-e-Barat is considered a major event in the Islamic calendar, where Muslims collectively worship and ask for forgiveness of their wrongdoings. So it's also sort of a time where we're going to be seeking forgiveness. That may come into play here too. It is believed to reward them with fortune for the whole year, and to cleanse them of their sins. So think about the tower blowing things up. They apologize. I think they make a decision spiritually, like the hangman. And then the Ten of Cups in this position of work and finance is them flourishing. And then the new opportunities for new beginnings, new starts, with the two Fools and the Knight of Wands. So I think it correlates directly to the cards that we've seen. Is that all the stuff I wanted to talk to you about? We got Albert Einstein. We got Stephen Hawking, Pi Day, Steak and BJ Day, the Islamic calendar, the Jewish calendar, the Christian calendar. Yes, I think we're finally done. On the planetary calendar, as I said, there's only one day that we're going to make mention of, and that's March 18th. So obviously several things are happening on March 18th. we find now at 3:17 a.m. we'll experience the full moon in Virgo, 27 degrees Virgo. And that's it for the week. Hope you guys, again, have enjoyed. If you stayed this long, you listened to all these things, still do, as I told the others who were going to leave after the cards, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Again, I appreciate it. Have a good week. Namaste.